Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua.
Srawung Festival ini akan menjadi sebuah program yang mudah-mudahan bisa kita pertahankan ya, setahun sekali.
And to open the Srawung Jogja Festivals, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear an opening speech that will be delivered by Head of Jogja Festivals, Mr. Heri Pemad.
Ada juga festival yang mencoba untuk berfokus pada kebudayaan lokal. Ini saya kira sangat menarik karena ada banyak sekali bentuk tradisi dan kebiasaan dalam masyarakat Indonesia yang kemudian itu dirayakan bersama, dan saya kira ini salah satu nilai penting dari festival.
Dengan dampak pandemi COVID-19 ini, tapi juga harus menyatukan semangat yang sama untuk dapat tetap bertahan dan tetap menjaga visi misi dari setiap festival yang telah dipertahankan hingga saat ini.
We apologize for any inconvenience during this meeting, and I thank you very much for your participations. I'm Santi Zaidan as an MC and also moderator. Thank you and see you at JFFE 2021. Good afternoon, everyone who's joining this event. Welcome to Srawung Festivals. Let me introduce you. I'm Dinda Intan, as the Director for Jogja Festival. I'm standing here to welcome you as a host for Srawung Festival. I would really like to say thank you very much for you all who are attending these events. I would say this is the first time we met, right? Our friends, our festivals activists in Southeast Asia. Welcome. I would like to say welcome to Philippine Design Weeks. That's already here, and then we have all of festivals friends. We are so honored to have you here. Welcome. I hope this is not only the first time, but we will meet for next forum for festivals in Southeast Asia and for another events. So, and also, I would like to say thank you to the Ambassador of UK to Indonesia, Mr. Owen, who will attend these events, and also Mr. Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Republic of Indonesia. Will join this event also for the opening. Also, I would like to say thank you for the researcher, Felencia, Fleming from the UK, and then we also have Jeffrey, hello Jeffrey from Singapore. And then here we'll say hello also. Thank you to Hong Ritirong, Professor Ritirong from Thailand. And then Nguyen Ha from Vietnam. Thank you for the research. She will, all of the researchers will present the result, the highlights of the research. And also would like to say thank you very much also for attending this event to the responders, Manami Yoasa from the British Council, and then also welcome, thank you to Ben. Yeah, Ben, thank you for coming as a responder also. We have Mr. Jonathan Tan from ASEAN Secretariat. Thank you very much. And also Mr. Joe Sidek from the Federation of ASEAN Culture Promotion. So I would like to say thank you very much for everyone who's joining and attending this event of Srawung Festivals. So as you know, Srawung means a gathering. So this is a gathering events for all festivals to discuss. And the result of the discussion today will be a great input for us, for the research, for the festivals ecosystems in Southeast Asia in the future. I hope so. And not waiting for a long time, because these events are in Indonesia. So we would like to sing Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you very much. And then this afternoon, we already have all of the participants and not wait for more long time. I will give this event to my lovely sisters, Santi Zaidan. She will be the MC, also a moderator for the whole of this event. So, Santi, now the time is yours till then. Please enjoy all for this event. Thank you very much.
Hi, hello everyone, hello all participants. Welcome to Srawung Jogja Festivals, Southeast Asia Festival Gathering, research on festivals in Southeast Asia, catalyst for the creative economy. So, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, before we start, I would like to give you some house rules where you have to allow and follow all the rules during this Srawung Festival 2021. The first, ladies and gentlemen, please turn off your microphone and camera during the presentations. And then we will be recording of the whole session, and by attending this webinar, all attendants are aware and have consent that all audio, visual, and textual interactions that happen during this webinar will be recorded and will be broadcasted through Jogja Festivals YouTube. During the session, please, if you have any question, write down your questions in the slide.do link that will be shared during the chat box. Okay? And also, we'll be curating your questions before relaying them to the moderator. For participants who want to ask a question directly to our speakers, please do use the raise hand function during the discussion session. You may turn on your microphone when called upon by the moderator. So that was all the house rules in Srawung Festival 2021. Please, every participant follow the rules for the convenience during the festivals. Okay. So I would like to welcome you once again, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings to all of us. Good afternoon. In this special occasion, let me enhance our warm welcome to distinguished guests and all participants. Welcome to Southeast Asia Festival Gathering, Research on Festivals in Southeast Asia, Catalyst for the Creative Economy. The current time in Indonesia right now is 3 p.m. Indonesian time, GMT +7. Ladies and gentlemen, since the founding of Jogja Festivals Network in 2016, the discussion on important roles of art and culture festivals and how they relate and bring impact to different sectors and aspects in the society continues to sharpen. The latest discussion includes how festivals are part of the creative economy, a sector that has been highly promoted by many governments as vital for inclusive, sustainable, and innovation-led growth. The British Council, together with the Jogja Festival Study Centre, joined forces to study the landscape and key players of festivals in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, and Southeast Asia. And to open the Srawung Jogja Festivals, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear an opening speech that will be delivered by Head of Jogja Festivals, Mr. Heri Pemad.
Hello everyone, welcome to Srawung Festival and please apologize. I will speak in bahasa Indonesia. Yang terhormat Duta Besar Inggris untuk Indonesia, Mr. Owen Jenkins. Yang terhormat Menteri Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Republik Indonesia, Bapak Sandiaga Uno. Terima kasih banyak telah berkenan hadir. Yang juga saya hormati tim peneliti yang telah menyelesaikan riset untuk pemetaan festival di Asia Tenggara, Ibu Felencia dari Indonesia, Mr. Tom Fleming dari Inggris, Mr. Hong dari Thailand, Mr. Jeffrey dari Singapura, dan Mrs. Ha dari Vietnam. Juga para penanggap yang telah hadir, Assistant Director and Head of the Culture and Information Division of the ASEAN Secretariat, Mr. Jonathan dari Sekretariat ASEAN, Mr. Hugh Moffatt, Country Director British Council Indonesia, Mr. Joe Sidek dari FACP, dan Mr. Benjamin dari ASEAN Foundation. Semoga kedepannya kita bisa berkolaborasi untuk meningkatkan ekosistem festival di Asia Tenggara. Kemudian terima kasih banyak kepada rekan-rekan festival serumpun di Asia Tenggara yang juga telah ikut hadir dalam Srawung Festival ini, yang telah berpartisipasi dalam riset. Selamat datang. Ini awal mula kita berjumpa, dan mulai saat ini mari kita kuatkan ikatan persaudaraan kita sebagai sesama pejuang festival di Asia Tenggara. Serta para seluruh hadirin yang telah hadir dalam acara ini, baik yang mewakili institusi, akademisi maupun profesional individu, terima kasih karena ikut meramaikan diskusi pada hari ini. Seluruh hasil diskusi hari ini akan menjadi masukan yang cukup penting untuk kelengkapan riset dan juga masa depan festival di Asia Tenggara. Perkenalkan, saya Heri Pemad, Ketua Jogja Festival sekaligus Direktur Arjok yang menjadi tuan rumah untuk penyelenggaraan Srawung Festival setiap tahunnya. Di tahun ketiga penyelenggaraan Srawung Festival kali ini, program ini menjadi sangat spesial sekaligus menjadi penanda dan sejarah karena pertama kalinya para pegiat festival se-Asia Tenggara berkumpul dalam satu forum. Kita semua pasti merasakan tekanan yang sama dan dengan dampak pandemi COVID-19 ini, tapi juga harus menyatukan semangat yang sama untuk dapat tetap bertahan dan tetap menjaga visi misi dari setiap festival yang telah dipertahankan hingga saat ini. Saya mengucapkan terima kasih atas hibah yang telah diberikan oleh British Council melalui program Connection Through Culture kepada Jogja Festival, yang kemudian dilaksanakan oleh Jogja Festival Study Center untuk penelitiannya bekerja sama dengan Tom Fleming Kreatif dari Inggris dan juga peneliti lainnya dari Thailand, Singapura, Vietnam hingga akhirnya penelitian tentang pemetaan festival di Asia Tenggara ini dapat diselesaikan. Dan tentu penelitian ini masih jauh dari kata sempurna sehingga diperlukan kerjasama lanjutan ke depannya, baik dalam pengembangan penelitian ini ataupun dengan program-program pendukung lainnya. Kami sangat terbuka bila ada pihak-pihak yang ingin bekerja sama dengan kami. Semoga dengan adanya diskusi dan hasil riset yang telah dilakukan ini dapat memberikan pencerahan untuk masa depan festival di Asia Tenggara, terutama dalam menghadapi situasi pandemi COVID-19. Festival saya, Arjok, yang saat ini sedang berlangsung dan tahun ini menjadi penyelenggaraan yang ke-14 juga merasakan dampaknya secara langsung. Tapi kami tetap bertahan mengupayakan yang terbaik untuk menebar semangat seni yang harus selalu hidup dan tetap mengedepankan protokol kesehatan dan juga didukung dengan penyesuaian program-program yang dilaksanakan secara daring. Sebagai penutup, saya sebagai Direktur Arjok dan tuan rumah Srawung Festival ingin mengajak rekan-rekan sekalian untuk dapat menikmati suasana Arjok yang sedang berlangsung saat ini. Sekali lagi, terima kasih banyak atas kehadiran rekan-rekan dalam acara ini. Mari.
Mr. Heri Pemad, Head of Jogja Festivals, thank you very much for delivering a very warm opening speech. And now, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, we're also very happy and proud and honored to have the UK Ambassador to Indonesia right now to also deliver an opening speech. His Excellency Owen Jenkins, now the screen is yours.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm delighted to be able to attend today, even if it's virtually, and to have the opportunity to share some of the discussion on the importance of the creative economy very widely, and in particular the importance of festivals within that. I'm really pleased that the research that we're launching today looks at the importance of these issues across Southeast Asia, not just in one country. Because I think one of the things that we know about the creative economy and the festival economy is that it crosses borders, that the links that we make between each other, the links that artists, makers and so on make between each other are at the heart of the success of any creative activity. And the Southeast Asia region is central, I think, to all of this. It's a region where the United Kingdom, of course, has links going back centuries, but also a very modern and contemporary relationship, which was reaffirmed just recently in a way that we were delighted by when the United Kingdom became ASEAN's latest dialogue partner, a status which hasn't been given to any country in the last 25 years. So we're really grateful and really appreciative that we've been marked in that way. And I think it's a testament to the potential in the relationship between the United Kingdom and the Southeast Asia region. As a bloc, ASEAN countries are an economic powerhouse, and that's only going to increase. It's together the world's fifth largest economy and one of the fastest growing. And within that, within two economies, two of the biggest economies in ASEAN, Indonesia and the Philippines, the creative economy contributes more than 7% directly of their own GDPs. And I've seen for myself, even despite the COVID pandemic, that the power of the creative economy in Indonesia and the way in which this can be really a source of growth, a source of development for the rest of the economy. And it comes up in all sorts of contexts. Obviously, when the British Council is working on these issues, we see it very directly, but it features in more traditional diplomatic engagements as well. So when our Foreign Secretary visited Indonesia in April this year for the formal partnership dialogue with Indonesia, discussion of the creative economies was an important part of the conversation. And that was followed up with a plan to renew the Memorandum of Understanding that we have with Indonesia on the creative economy. With our colleagues at the British Council, who are at the heart of all of this, we're very keen to support ASEAN countries realise their huge potential in the area of the arts, culture and the creative industries, and also to realise the potential that that economy can play in wider development. In Indonesia, the British Council is working on a more detailed implementing arrangement with the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, as well as the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, which will bring our mutual interests together. And we're extremely grateful to our colleagues at the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, in particular His Excellency Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, for their assistance as we take this work forward. We've also been working on a series of webinars, and the British Council took forward over the last year a series of webinars in the field of creative economy in order to identify how the COVID-19 situation is impacting on that and how the creative economies are adapting. Of course, it has been a pretty dreadful time for anybody active in the creative economy. In the UK, we have a huge events industry, a huge festivals industry worth over £42.3 billion in 2015. That's over $50 billion, and it supports over 500,000 jobs. But since the start of the pandemic, in the UK as elsewhere, we've seen that taking a hit. Reports from the Association of Independent Festivals say that 92% of its members report falls in business resulting from cancelled events, of about 92%, and I don't know what the other 8% did, but it's not surprising that it's that scale, and redundancies of around 59%, which is huge in any sector. And I know that those pressures, those damages have been seen across Southeast Asia as well. In Indonesia, at the beginning of the pandemic, around 230 events were cancelled based on Koalisi Seni's report. And since then, the events and the festivals industry has been one of the hardest hit with a slow recovery, although we see much resilience in the sector as well. But I hope that one of the key themes that we'll see as we emerge from the pandemic is that there is resilience, and that resilience lies to a large extent in the ability to collaborate. And as I said at the beginning of my words, in an ability to create connections across the creative economy, across national borders, and also across artistic and creative sectors, so that there is that powerful cross-pollination, which is at the heart of so much artistic endeavour. And this is an area where the Indonesian government has spearheaded many initiatives, and I'd really like to pay tribute to that work, beginning with the World Conference on the Creative Economy back in 2018, and this year also initiating the Friends of the Creative Economy to streamline the creative economy within the ASEAN Ministerial Forum, as well as the G20 Forum, which Indonesia will chair next year. And we commend the Indonesian government for its efforts in supporting and championing the creative economy, particularly during what is such a challenging time for many. Through this event and through the subsequent activities that the British Council have under preparation within their wider arts and creative industries programme, we hope that the United Kingdom and ASEAN can work together to strengthen the festival sector, building on the research which we're seeing today through creative entrepreneurship, innovation, and global competitiveness. And let me close, as I should have opened, by thanking our partners across the sector today. I've mentioned His Excellency Bapak Sandiaga Uno, my particular thanks to him for attending today, but also to Heri Pemad, who gave us such an inspiring speech just now, the head of the Jogja Festivals, Tan Gi Tiong, Assistant Director and Head of the Culture and Information Division of the ASEAN Secretariat, Joe Sidek, Chairman of Federation for Asian Cultural Promotion, and Benjamin Hampe, Project Director of the ASEAN Foundation. And I think that just that list of names shows the connections and the wide range of people who are involved in this sector. So with that, let me end with many thanks to the organisers today, and I look forward to a productive discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, His Excellency Owen Jenkins, from UK Ambassador to Indonesia. And before we go into the next speech, ladies and gentlemen, we will show you a video, ASEAN Festivals, that show you compilations of Southeast Asia Festival. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is ASEAN Festivals video. ladies and gentlemen, that was the video of Southeast Asia Festival. And while we're waiting for our Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Sandiaga Uno, to join this meeting, I will go through the discussion and panel discussion. I will first invite our researchers to open the camera. We have our researchers. The first one is Felencia Hutabarat, that will give us a summary of Southeast Asia findings and Indonesia country highlight. Hi, Felencia.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Can you open the camera so we will see your beautiful face? Yeah. Yeah. Besides Valencia, we also have Tom Fleming from UK. He also will speak about Malaysia, Philippines, and Country Highlights Festival. Hi, Tom. Can you hear me? I believe Tom Fleming is there. Yeah. Besides Tom Fleming.
Hello there, yes, hi.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, sorry for the delay there, yes, hi, great to be here.
Okay, Tom, besides Tom Fleming, I will also introduce, Tom Fleming from UK that will present the Malaysia, Philippines, and country highlight presentations. We also have our researcher Nguyen Thi Thu Ha from Vietnam Country Highlights. Hi, Nguyen.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Nguyen. Glad to hear you. Okay. And we have our Professor Ritirong Jiwakanon from Thailand, Country Highlights. Hi, Prof.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. And also Jeffrey Tan from Singapore.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Besides, Besides our researchers, we have our responders that will also respond the presentations. The first responder is Tan Gi Tiong or Jonathan from Assistant Director and Head of the Culture and Information Division of ASEAN Secretariat. Good afternoon, Tan. Tan Gi Tiong. Hi.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Jonathan Tan from the ASEAN Secretariat. It's a privilege to be with you here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. And also we have our responder, Hugh Moffatt, Country Director, Indonesia and Southeast Asia Cluster Lead, British Consul. Hugh Moffatt, are you there?
Hi, I'm Manami Yuasa. I'm joining instead of Hugh. He is not available today.
Yeah, Manami Yuasa. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry for mismention your name. Manami. Okay, from British Council. Thank you, Manami, for joining our event for this afternoon. And also we have Joe Sidek, Chairman of Federation for ASEAN Culture Promotion. Joe? Yeah. Hi, Joe. How are you? Yeah. I think your sound is still mute. Hi, Joe. We cannot hear you.
Okay, I'm on now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. We hear your voice already right now. And then we have Project Director ASEAN Foundation, Mr. Benjamin.
Hello, thanks for inviting me to this discussion. So good to see so many friends and colleagues today. And it's great to be collaborating with ArtJog and the British Council, both organizations that I'm a fan of and have been a long supporter of. So great to be here today. Thank you.
Okay. We are waiting for your response to our presenters. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, we are now in the discussion. I would like to invite the first presenter, that is Felencia Hutabarat, that will give us summary for Southeast Asia findings and also Indonesia country highlights. Okay, Felencia, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Felencia. I think the presentation will be led by you. You will give the opportunity for the next presenter. You will invite Tom, and then Nguyen, and then Prof. Ritirong, and then Jeffrey Tan, and then it will be given back to me, and I will ask any response from the responders, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Felencia.
Thank you very much, Sandy. For the operator, maybe we can start with the slides. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this lovely moment in the middle of working from home. That some of us are being locked down, but it's good that with technology that we can still be connected to one another and still have some resiliency in a way to be discussing things that are also important and very dear to our hearts. That is the festival. So today is the official launch of the research for festivals in Southeast Asia, Catalyst for the Creative Economy. If I may, for the operator, maybe we can start with the slides. From the first one, thank you. I think it's the wrong file. Yeah. So there is a growing evidence that festivals are the driving force of the cultural sector and catalyst for social and economic development. However, we find it on the ground, we see it everywhere we go, especially when we are festival practitioners. But a lot of these findings from different national and international festivals, particularly in Southeast Asia, have not been well documented, nor researched, nor written. So that's why we feel it's important to collect, document, and present these findings to look at strong argument on the importance of supporting arts and culture festivals in the region. We have several objectives that we make when we first discuss about the research, but the three main ones are these ones, is the mapping of the festival landscape, key players in the network. We know from Jogja Festivals ourselves, which consists of 15 of national and international festivals, that there has been an organic network between the festivals, between the artists who are the talents of the festivals, and also between the organizers of the festivals. But again, there is no well-written document on this, so then it was important for us to be able to map this. The second one is to provide a way of looking at the relationship between festivals and creative economy and how festivals are impactful for creative economy development. If we are visiting festivals, for example, we can see the work that is being showcased, and this is the work of so many people, people who are working from different genres, with different skills as well. They come together and create the festivals. And also within the festivals, we notice that there are a lot of job creations in terms of, from the organization of the festival itself all the way to the promotion of the festival. The other thing that we see when it comes to festival, there are a lot of festivals that provide spaces to create new work and new collaborative work that in the end results in new innovation or new creative products. The third one is to document and present the challenges faced by the festivals, in particular in the current pandemic and hopefully post-pandemic situation. In the next slide, we can see that there is Asia. Could you please change it with the presentation for Southeast Asia? Thank you. So while waiting for that, we sent the survey to 6 countries in Southeast Asia, and all of them are Asian member states: Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. So we sent out more than 250 surveys. And we received 167 response from the festivals. When we look further into why there are more than 30% of the festivals that are not sending the response, of course, it is quite obvious that because we are doing the research during the pandemic, some of the festivals feel that they should not fill in this form or this survey because their festival is pending, or they don't know whether there's going to be another festival for them. And some of the festivals are still busy surviving, trying to still see whether they can still do the festival this year. And some of them is working on other things that is more crucial for them to survive the pandemic situation. As was mentioned by his ambassador, that from the British Embassy, that the cultural sector is among the hardest hit sector, especially the festivals, because festivals are so depending on places, location, meetings between people, and the gathering of people, and all of this that we cannot do during the pandemic. Nevertheless, we are thankful for those who have responded to us, and we hope those who did not also, still stay well, and then hopefully that we will be able to go through this pandemic together. Here are some findings. So we have the research. The researchers come from several different countries. So I'm going to present the highlights for the general findings of Southeast Asia, and then a deeper look, a more personal and detailed look for each country will be presented by other researchers from each country. So the first one is we want to see whether the relation of the festivals and the creative industries. Is it possible to display the slide? Okay, while waiting, what we found is actually the genres of the festivals. There's visual arts, theater, so all kinds of performing arts, theater, dance, music, and interdisciplinary festivals, digital and technology festivals, craft, design, film and cinema, and visual arts presentation, and issue-based festival like environmental and sustainability or LGBTQ issue is very closely related, or actually a direct part of the creative industry. So this is our first finding that goes to show that why a festival is actually a part and parcel of the creative economy. The second one, I really would like to show you the, is it Santi? Is it better if I share my screen, or?
Yeah. Actually, we're here working to show you the. Yeah. We're ready to show you the PowerPoint. We will share it. The findings. Okay. Number 2, right?
Now we go to the impact of festivals.
Impact of the festivals. Okay.
Please make sure that it's the right slide.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Next slide.
Impact of the festivals here.
You can go full screen because it's rather small. So apologies for the very small fonts, but if you can see later when we distribute this, that there are 3 main things that have become the impact of the festivals. The first one is to be tolerance and inclusion. This is a lot of the festivals are actually paying close attention to this. Second is to build the local pride, so that it's local identity, local product, bring local artists presenting local works. And the third one is the growth in the creative economy. So these are the main 3 things, the main 3 impact as presented by the respondents. The other one is that festivals provide employment. They attract inward investment, they grow and enhance tourism, they drive innovation through economy, they provide opportunity for minority communities, and they build environmental awareness. So we find these things very important to share because now we have, an evidence-based argument that the festivals have a very important impact. The third one, the next slide, is to show the audience of the festivals. So interestingly, The primary age group and the secondary age group of the festival is between 21-35 and 35 to 50 years old. This means like a lot of the audience of the festivals are on their productive age, but it also means that there is a lack of focus on those who are under 20, which is the children and the teenager age group, and those who are above 50 and the elderly age group. That will be on the next slide. We can show the next slide. Thank you. This also goes to show that we still need a lot of effort to make festival accessibility to all age groups, so not only for those who are in their productive years. The other things that we found that 80% of the the audience of the festivals in Southeast Asia are local, with 20% coming from other cities or from international. Which means when in regards to pandemic, of course, we were talking before that we need to figure out a way if the pandemic is still happening for a long time, because the audience are here in the surrounding area. We need to be able to figure out a way to work with this, to find the right protocol so then this event can still happen. The next slide, we will show the festival funding. So around 36.4%, which is the highest, the funding comes from government funding. This can be funding for festival that is government initiated, or in a lot of cases, it is a traditional festival that becomes part of the tourist attraction. So these are the kinds of the festivals that receive majority of the government fundings. The other one is from private sponsors and donors. These are more commercial type festivals, and normally the sponsors like to give their financial support, because this kind of festival bring a lot of crowd at the same time. So it's easier for them to do product promotion and so on. And the last one is, of course, the financial or the income from tickets and other sales, which means also the sales of artwork or sales of merchandise and other revenue resources. So these are only the small parts. So you can see, without the support from the government and without the support from the private sector, only if the festival have to survive by itself, they receive around 30%, just a little bit more than 30% of income to aid to be able to cover the cost of the festival. Our special issue that is close to our heart as well, that we would like to highlight and find during this research is inclusivity and diversity. We were eager to find out whether there is an increase of the involvement of women, especially in the top positions, and whether the festivals are already aware, whether the organizers are already aware to include diversity within their festivals. To our surprise, actually 51% of the festivals already pay attention to diversity and inclusivity among their performance and their creative talents. And then among staff members and the organizing team. As we can see also now, a lot of festivals already have paid attention to bring more women on the panel, because a lot of times we know that there are a lot of what we call manels, or men panel only. So, but there seems to be an increased effort also from the festivals to have a more gender balance. And in the next slide, it's a good news for us, because we can see that there are more women. So the majority of the festivals that they have women in the leadership position and in the management position. And then goes down to the programming and then the technical support team. So it is, in the first one, we can see in the leadership position, it's more than 50% of the festivals that is actually have women on the top position. So not only, because normally women are put in the clerical position, or the managerial position, but this time it's actually, there is good news there that we found that many festivals already have women in the top, in the leadership position. And then we go to the final topic of the ASEAN landscape, is the recommendation. So there are several recommendations that we found, and this is shared widely by the festivals in the 6 countries. The first one is the core function development, which is the eagerness to learn more about festival management capacity, business development growth, and then productions capacity, business planning skills, and leadership effectiveness. Because many of the festivals, not all of them started already big. So a lot of them started usually quite small, only by 3 or 5 people. And then as they become more popular and they get more support, they grow, and then they have to recruit more people. So along with this, there needs to be more skill on organizing the team, on managing the team, managing the finances, especially when you get already different fundings from different people. So this is why the business planning skills are very important, particularly also to ensure the sustainability of the festival. The second one is the support function development. That is from the organizational management to the second layer of the festival needs, which is the human resource management, and the marketing, promotion, and data analytics skills. There are more festivals who realize that data analytics are becoming more and more important for them. And then the next one is the network expansion. We know that the festival have organically connected with each other, but it is stated by the respondents that strategic partnership is important for festival sustainability and growth. And this includes partnership with government, education providers, the wider cultural sectors as museum, and also the private sector. In terms of this, I would like to highlight why we also take the ASEAN approach, because Indonesia, because Jogja Festival is in Indonesia, and then we know that the Indonesian government, as again mentioned by his ambassador, has been quite active in developing the creative economy discourse within Southeast Asia. So we thought, being the practitioner side, from the festival practitioner, it would be good if we can align the initiative between the government, the festival itself, and the regional organizations, and of course without sacrificing independency of the festival. But it would be actually really good to be able to come together and support the festivals in Southeast Asia. Okay. The second last is actually the investment. Just one more slide. The investment, we wanted to show that the government needs to invest beyond tourism purposes, but they need to invest on the festival, because a good festival enables a place to have a good program, to commission new and after-radical work, and it can become compelling platforms and catalysts for innovation and change in the creative economy. Last one is actually further studies on economic impact. This is what we are still lacking. But hopefully after this, there is more support to study this, and then we can really show the economic impact of festivals in each country.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Felencia. Before we go to Tom Fleming from UK to present Malaysia, Philippines, country highlights. Sorry, I have to interrupt your presentation, Felencia, because we have our ministry here who has been joining us right now. So we will be glad to hear our ministry to speak and to deliver the speech. I would like to invite once again Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Sandiaga Uno, before we go to another speakers this afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite once again, yes, Mr. Sandiaga Uno. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Warmest greeting to you all from very nice weather, South Jakarta of Indonesia. And I would like to thank the organizers for inviting us for the launch event on research of festival in Southeast Asia, a catalyst for the creative economy, Srawung Jogja Festival 2021. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Owen Jenkins, UK Ambassadors for Indonesia, Bapak Heri Pemad, head of Jogja Festivals, who have been very, very creative and innovative in continuing the traditions of Jogja Festivals amidst the pandemic and economic challenge. Honorable researchers and responders and creative people from all over Southeast Asia. Together with me is Deputy for Tourism and Product Events, Ibu Rizky Handayani, and Ibu Desi Ruharti, Director for National International Events, which festivals would be under our coordinations. Let me start with our cultural heritage, which is Pantun. This is a group or 4 sentences, more like poetry, and it should end with a rhyme. And it goes like this. Yogyakarta tourism destinations is dreamy. You will know it since the arrival. Let's strengthen our creative economy through events as Srawung Jogja Festival. It's a big honor for me, excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, to be present here. First and foremost, I am very pleased to be attending the Srawung Jogja Festival 2021 virtually, and I really appreciate the Festival Studies Center for this really strategic work in the Southeast Asia regions, in particular how festivals become a catalyst for creative economy. I was scheduled to be here at 15:30, and I'm sorry if it sort of like disrupt the flow, but I hope my short remarks will underline the importance of festival as really a creative event that spur our not only tourism but also on the creative economy side. Indonesia profoundly support the creative industries, and the data shows that creative economy is resilient and very much adaptive towards this pandemic disruptions of COVID-19. And it continued to contribute around 1.2 trillion rupiah, or I would say 1,100 trillion rupiah, or about 7% of our total GDP. Indonesia is the main initiator for this year, International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development. And this is really important for us, and it was declared during the UN General Assembly with the hope of creative economy as the main locomotive for the country to grow post-pandemic on a sustainable basis. The Srawung Jogja Festivals 2021 is an ideal platform that we believe would be there to share knowledge, exchange ideas, build network among festival and event practitioners. Last but not least, we believe that the event post-pandemic have to pivot it towards very adaptable, using online and offline combinations, or maybe sometimes hybrid, with a concept of CHSE, cleanliness, health, safety, and environmental sustainability. And this is the one that we have been pushing, the certifications, so that events can start to be executed or to be held starting March or April of this year using a sandbox approach. And for areas that is green, it could be done on an offline basis with a strict health protocol. On a yellow and orange, it should be on a hybrid basis, and on a red zone, the festivals has to be done on a full online basis. So it is clear implementations of cleanliness, healthy, safety, and environmental sustainability protocols that we think would be the gold standards. And then now we're actually linking it up with an applications that would also show the vaccinations as well as testing, tracing data that would be needed for people to attend these sort of like festivals. And I think this is a great way for us to adapt during the pandemic. To conclude, I thank all of you and I wish you fruitful discussions on this event for today. May God bless our efforts, and hopefully the pandemic will soon be over, and I wish you a very healthy and safe while continue to be creative. Thank you very much, and I close with a pantun. Yogyakarta is really not yet. Yogyakarta is really popular for a city that is so culturally artistic, with a strong passions for creative and digital. I believe we can fight this pandemic together. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, our Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia, for delivering a speech and also give a special pantun for the opening and the closing. Okay, let's go back to the discussion, ladies and gentlemen, all participants. As the first speaker, we have heard the presentations from Felencia Hutabarat. She delivered the summary for Southeast Asia findings, and she also mentioned about the impacts of festival, and then also about festival fundings and others. After hearing the discussions, after hearing the presentations from Felencia, we also will go to the next presenter. We also will hear a presentation that will be delivered by Tom Fleming from UK. Tom Fleming, can you hear me? Yes, Tom Fleming.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and it was also fantastic to hear the minister there validating the importance of festivals for the creative economy, and also recognizing that they're in such a fragile and perilous position at the moment, given the pandemic and associated challenges. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege for me to work with colleagues from Jogja Festivals and also from across the region to develop this piece of research, which, as we heard from Felencia, is so needed. We all know instinctively that festivals are absolutely drivers of the creative economy. They're critical for civil society, and they have an enormously binding role in terms of connecting communities, building capacity and confidence, and underpinning civil society. But we haven't been able to research that in a systemic way, and in a way that connects and enables us to share and exchange knowledge across the region. So while my focus has been on particular countries, on Malaysia and on the Philippines, it's been a pleasure to work and exchange and to brainstorm across the region. And I hope that that can continue into the future, because we know that the sector is fragile, it's emergent, and it's going to be through knowledge exchange that the festival sector can grow and prosper in the future. I do have some slides, but I'm not going to wait for you to get them ready unless you have them ready already. You do have them ready, fantastic. So if you could just flick through to the next slide, please. I'm just going to give you some very big headlines, and some of them you've already heard, I think, from Felencia and also from the Minister and from the British Ambassador about the importance of festivals in the regional creative economy. If you go to my next slide, please, that will be very helpful. Next slide, please. Okay, I will continue anyway. What is, I think, paramount is that we recognize festivals not just as celebrations, although instinctively that's what they are. They often find ways to express themselves, to provide platforms for their identity, for their creativity. But they're also critical drivers for the creative economy. They provide pipelines for talent. They provide spaces for innovation, and they provide communities of practice, which are in turn often safe spaces and inclusive spaces, which are really key given the times we are in. They're inherently fragile because many of them are not venue-based. Many of them have emerged from a community context. And we've already heard from some of the challenges around professionalization, business skills, marketing skills, the challenges around building sustainable business models, etc. So while they are vitally important, they do ebb and flow, they come and go, and we haven't yet got a strong sustainable festival ecosystem across the region. The pandemic in that context has brutally exposed that the fragility of the cultural sector overall and the festivals sector within that within the cultural sector. Festivals have been at the, as we've already heard, perhaps the most fragile part of the creative economy because they are dependent on audiences going to things more broadly. They're dependent on people coming together to collaborate, to develop new content, to develop new stories, to develop new experiences. And we've all obviously been in various types of lockdown, and our confidence has been shattered, and people do not engage and connect as they did. And yet the pandemic has also accelerated other things, such as the digitalization of the cultural sector, and festivals have been working incredibly hard to stay open, to stay connected, to broadcast content, to commission new work online. And increasingly, we hope that we'll be moving to a more hybrid future where the digital and the physical kind of coexist in ways that can supercharge the next generation of festivals, and in turn that can supercharge the next generation of the creative economy. We've heard that festivals can be, and often are, beacons for progressive and inclusive cultural development. They're critical for civil society, for cohesion, for tolerance, for exchange. But also, that they can be exclusive, and we need to find ways for them to be more intercultural, intergenerational, to be fairer, to be something that shapes opportunities for all in society. And to do that, we need to look at the capacity, the skills, the competencies that we need to develop within the festival sector as part of a wider approach to the creative economy and to cultural policy overall. In that context, there are specific skills gaps around digitalization, around business acumen, around developing new mixed or both public and private business models for festivals, finding ways to monetize content, but also critically here, the government can play a role in incentivizing investment in festivals, in supporting the sustainable development of festivals, in opening up ways for festivals to play a more dynamic role in the creative economy, whether that be in terms of having a more friction-free approach to licensing, whether it be around supporting skills development, whether it be around commissioning grants and other kinds of funding to be able to build the festival sector. And that's going to be critical if festivals are going to play a role in recovery and in the reimagination of the cultural and the creative economy going forward. And governments, of course, can also stand in the way sometimes, and too often they have historically all over the world, providing unnecessary barriers to the development of festivals, whether that be through restricting licenses, whether it be through bureaucracy in providing investment, whether it be through censorship, whether it just be through an inconsistent approach to policy and investment. And that's why an ASEAN-wide approach is so key, because governments can share best practice, they can work together to position festivals at the heart of the creative economy going forward. So if we move on to the next slide, if we may, I'll just very, very quickly just give a couple of headlines from, on the next slide after that, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. The slide on Malaysia, if we may. I'm not going to go into huge depth. The report that will be published will give you some insights into the transforming festival ecosystem of both Malaysia and the Philippines. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Suffice to say that both countries' festivals are absolutely central to the recent successes that we've seen in the growth and the dynamism of the creative economy of those countries. And festivals will play a vital role in recovery and rebooting the creative economy going forward. The reports will provide some case studies that we've developed of specific festivals in each country, and also headlines from the surveys that we've had and some interviews that we undertook in each country. And they are contextualized within some wider research we've been undertaking for several years now on the changing profile and dynamics of the creative economies of Malaysia and the Philippines, and also other countries in the region. Now, Malaysia, as you all know, and is perhaps a truism for most countries in the region, it's a country built on its diversity. As many people, perhaps it's a cliche, talk about it as a mosaic. Now that diversity is certainly very, very relevant to the way that the festival sector has developed across the country, whether that be regional diversity or cultural diversity. Malaysia is that not everybody has access or equal access to resources and therefore to a platform to express their cultural diversity. And I think that should be an important consideration for policy going forward, but also how festivals can become platforms for intercultural exchange, where they can become spaces where different cultures come together to co-create new narratives which are expressive of the contemporary Malaysian reality, as opposed to having more singular narratives which reflect on cultural difference rather than cultural exchange and what we share. In Malaysia, as a rapidly urbanizing country, the festivals have been really vital in terms of showcasing talent, in terms of making that connection between creative expression and the production and distribution and sales of creative content, of creative products and services. Festivals related to design, to music, to publishing, to gaming are really key, alongside more traditional festivals that are perhaps linked to the heritage sector and the tourism sector. There's increasingly international audiences for Malaysian festivals, but local audiences remain paramount. There's a vital need to build and to sustain and to invest in and nurture relationships and networks across the cultural sector, particularly because it's so savaged at the moment by the pandemic. Investing in talent to support its sustainability was going to be key, and providing investment in festivals to supercharge that talent is going to be really important as well. There are some specific challenges around business acumen, around developing diverse business models and moving towards a subsidy plus model for festivals. And the government will play an important role through its investment tools going forward in that context. Next slide, please. So if we think about festivals in Malaysia and other countries as this kind of platform or this vector for cultural development more broadly, one example is the Urbanscapes Festival, which is commissioning street art and light art and bringing people into the city to reimagine the possibility of this as a creative place. And I think it just, for me, symbolizes the power of festivals more broadly, because it mobilizes creative practice, it brings communities together, it brings people into public spaces, and it helps them to redefine their public space, their city, through creative expression and creative experience. And that relationship between traditional culture and a contemporary urban culture, a relationship between analog and digital, for me symbolizes the power of festivals in a Malaysian context. Next slide, please. Rapidly getting onto the Philippines, and there's so much we could say that is in common with the Philippines and Malaysia, as both urbanizing, incredibly complex societies. Festivals, perhaps slightly more so in the Philippines, have a closer relationship to the commercial creative industries. There's a lot of perhaps trade and market making or market shaping festivals across the Philippines, with really strong, for example, focuses around design, and Design Week in the Philippines is really key part of the festival economy. There's, I feel in the Philippines, there's a growing appreciation that the festival sector is critical in terms of talent development, people making a name for themselves, people shaping their careers. But then there are challenges around there being a kind of ceiling on the scale of the festivals and the ceiling on the investment profile of festivals. They remain relatively small, fragile, struggling for finance, struggling for voice. Next slide, please.
Tom, kind reminder.
Yes, I'm about to finish. In that context, the festival sector in the Philippines requires investment in terms of business acumen, in terms of skills development, in terms of audience development. Stronger networks are needed between the festivals, working across different parts of the creative industries and linking the Philippines into the wider ASEAN context. And that came through a lot. The need for regional partnership is key. And finally, if we just move on to the final slide, please. If you could, the final thing to say is that, and I've mentioned this before, is that while we do often talk about festivals as critical to the growth and dynamism of the creative industries, the creative economy, you can't have that without a diversity of cultural expressions. You can't have that without festivals providing that space for safe intercultural exploration, where tolerance is to the fore. And we need to remember that although we sometimes take these agendas for granted, increasingly the kinds of dialogue that happen within the festival space is actually under threat. So festivals need to be supported so that people can express themselves as freely as possible. And that is going to be vital for the future. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Okay, now we have another speakers right now. We have heard the presentation before from Tom Fleming UK, who has describing about Malaysia, Philippine country highlights. And we go now to Nguyen Thi Thu Ha that will present you Vietnam country highlights. Nguyen. Nguyen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Nguyen, do you want to run your own slides, or let us run the slides?
I think I prefer to run my own slides so I can control the speed of the. Just give me a few seconds. Yes.
Okay, Nguyen.
Yes.
Are you ready? It's a kind reminder. You only have 5 minutes to present your presentations. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, colleagues and friends. It is just really my pleasure to join with you today in this wonderful event of launching the research on the festival in Southeast Asia. My name is Nguyen Thi Thu Ha. Currently, I work as a senior cultural researcher in Vietnam National Institute of Cultural Studies under the umbrella of the Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism. So in this research on the festival in Southeast Asia, luckily I had an opportunity to support our colleagues from UK and Indonesia to take in charge of the Vietnam parts. So thank you, Tom Fleming, again for having me in this research. I will take this chance to share with you very briefly about the current pictures of the Creative Festival in Vietnam, and hope for the more future collaboration and partnership with our colleagues and friends in Southeast Asia country as well as in UK. So basically, for the Creative Festival in Vietnam have not so much popular in Vietnam for not until like 10 or 15 years ago. And so far, the number of the Creative Festival in Vietnam is not quite, how can I say, it's not as much as we expected. But recently, with the shift in the government approach in recognize the importance of the creative economy, the creative culture and creative industry in Vietnam. So increasingly, we see that there are more and more culture and creative festival in Vietnam, in big cities in Vietnam for last few years. So in the research, I share with our colleagues and later on with you guys 5 cases of Vietnamese festival. So half of them, I think 3 of them, 3 over 5 are the public run. and the other, the 2 or 5 are the independent ones. So even the number of the creative festival in Vietnam is quite relatively small, but based on my observation for last 10 years, I can recognize the important role of those festivals in supporting the development of the culture and creative industries in Vietnam, and as well as in supporting the sustainable development of Vietnam in years to come. In Vietnam, at this stage, I may say that our creative economy is just at the beginning, at the, how can I say, initial stage. I'm not so confident about to show you about the quantitative data to prove about the economic impact of the festival. But there are some festivals in Vietnam that already bring the livelihood, the employment, contribute to the revenue of the local city, and to connect people together. And that is really important impact that the creative festival in Vietnam is performing right now. Another impact we can name as the field is the how can I say, the festival in Vietnam and the growing number of the festival in Vietnam is presenting more persuasively about the role of the, how can I say, they showcase really well the culture and creative talent in different sectors of the creative economy in Vietnam, in film, in design, in performing art, in contemporary arts, etc. So with those kind of performance, gradually the festival in Vietnam is really useful in advocating the government to support more and to improve the national policy, as well as the city level, to support for the development of the culture and art activities and the festival in Vietnam. Yes. Other than those creative impact, the festival in Vietnam also play an important role in delivering some social benefit to the local community in the place where the festival takes place, and in particular, and in the whole nation in general. They help to increase the social awareness and appreciation of the creativity, and especially they help to persuade and to increase the understanding of the both the older generation and the younger generation of Vietnam about the role of creativity, about the chance of pursuing creative industry as their career, and as the future well income generating activity or career. That is really important, because for a long time, culture and art and creativity have been considered, have been perceived as some activities or some area that is just for entertainment, just for fun, for the spiritual improvement. But then now, the social awareness and understanding about the role of the creative industry, creative activities it's changed. They are activities that can sustain the income of the people. They can provide employment and other economic impact. And also, the festival is really important to how can I say, to shape the city branding and positioning those cities within the development, the culture scene of the whole city. For example, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, or Hue Festival, more than 10, with the history of the more than 10 years, it's already create a cultural international brand for the city, for the heritage city. And the other cities in Vietnam is going to follow that path. So those kind of things is also present us some other development needs, some gap that we need to fulfill. And the most important thing that we recognize that is the separate operation between public fund festival and the independent one. So we would like to see more public and private partnership in operating and in managing the creative festival in Vietnam for their future sustainable development. And also we would like to see more support from the other international partner to help us to build the capacity for the local team. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry for make you explain it in a rush because we only just a very limited time. Okay, Nguyen. And then we will go to the next presenter from Thailand, Professor Ritirong Jiwakanon. Okay, Prof, are you ready? Okay, Prof, do you want to run your own slide or let us do it for you?
I'm going to run my own slide. Thank you.
Okay, it's just a kind reminder, we only have 5 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be very brief, actually. I just want to present the finding in the festival, the festival in Thailand. And so basically, we're starting from what all the festival is about in Thailand. Normally, in Thailand, we have a lot of festivals, including the traditional one. But in this case, we focus on the one that related to the creative economy. And the top 3 focus themes that we find is the contemporary music and contemporary visual art, and also the interdisciplinary about art and craft, and the design. Okay, and what happened is because all of this related to the government policy in terms of creative economy and also the tourism as well. And at the same time, the big entertainment industry agency also take part in this festival in according to the marketing purpose as well. And the festival today is keep going because of the new generation of audience, and they keep coming to the festival because of it's kind of showing the new style, new lifestyle that they have today with the social media and everything. So festival is something that they can, like socialize and outgoing in the society as well. And most of the activities in festival in Thailand, they will combine a lot of activities at one place. Like can be a marketplace, can be a talk and panel discussion, can be art and design exhibition, can be the talent show. But what is so interesting is we could not really find the residency program in the festival. Perhaps this is because to have the residency program, they need a lot of funding. And at the same time, not many people familiar with the presidency. So it's quite new for people in Thailand to have residency program in the festival. That's one thing that's interesting to know. Now, for organization, each festival, they have their own way to organize their own festival. Sometimes they have the in-house production team working with the volunteer and the local people. The local people is one of the most important things because it could sustain the festival for a long run in the future. They could invite some of the guests or the artists from outside and then working with them. So each festival, they can create their own network in their own way. So they not really have any format for organization and festival, except the festival that's really big. Some of them belong to the government, then they have another formula how to run the festival as well. And then most of the festivals in Thailand are free. Actually, they're free of charge, except the festival about the music, about the performing art. Then they can sell tickets. And sometimes people who would like to participate in the festival, they may have the market booth or any individual exhibition. They can rent out the space and be part of the festival, then they have to pay for that. But most of the festivals in Thailand, they are all for free. Now, when you're looking at the target audience, most of the audience are 20 to 35 years old. And what is so interesting is we could find the characteristic of all these people. They are young, they are ongoing, they are socialized, they are educated, very creative, positive thinking, like interactive. That's so interesting because it's not just visiting the festival, but they want to be part of it. Any activities in the festival, there will be kind of like keep on going for this kind of audience in the festival as well. Then now, what is the task for them? For people who work in the festival, the most important thing for them is how to build the audience. Of course, we have a certain amount of audience, but how to create more audience so they can get more attention and then respond from other people, and then they can go on with their own festival. And then how to make them to come back to the festival again and again. That's another thing, right? And to be able to sustain the festival, they need a community to get involved in the community and also keep on creating all this network. Now, when we focus on the network, the network, they're expecting having the network because the network will create many things for them, like financial support, management team, which is their lack of the skill on managing, the artist connections, international recognitions, also important for them, and the young audience, and the sustainability of the community. So they're not just creating a festival, but they're starting to create the whole community or the area and try everybody to be involved and see it is something to do with them, and they can see how important to have the festival in their community. The last one is like to have the festival achieve what they want to do. They were thinking to have all of this: the good management, the networks and connection, diversity of the program. Funding is the most important thing. Digital marketing is important now because the target audience is all the young people, and they are on the platform, the online platform. So digital marketing will become something I have to mention. Communities are sensibility. Actually, this one is also related to government policy. Today, we have a lot of big events, like big festival, like Bangkok Design Week or Chiang Mai Design Week. And those projects were supported by the government, but the government doesn't really only want to support the new design or support creating product to making the economy only, but they also want to sustain the community by using all these activities in the area and get people involved in the activity as well. And the infrastructure is also important because especially in Thailand, we don't really have a lot of infrastructure to have that activity going on. Only for me, is that only one major infrastructure that we have is the Bangkok Art and Culture Center, which is right at the center of the city for that. And audience development, that's another thing that has been mentioned. So to achieve this, most festivals put their financial sensibility first and a strategic partnership second. A major factor for the festival, the uncertainty of funding, has caused many festivals to change their formats and activities. During the COVID-19 pandemic, very few festivals have been able to adjust themselves by showing it online or trying to present the work, but still many of them just wait, and they hope things gonna recover, especially the economic situation. And I just give you one example, like Bangkok Design Week this year. They try to put everything online platform except the performing art. The performing art still the problem, that how to present the performing art online. And so they postpone all the performing art activities, and hopefully everything will come back. Thank you so much. That's about it.
Thank you, Prof. Ritirong, for the presentations. Okay, from Thailand country highlights, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to Singapore country highlight. Jeffrey Tan. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, good
Can
afternoon.
I get help with the
Jeffrey.
slides? Can I get help with the slides?
Okay, we run the slide for you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, afternoon, everyone. I'll try and do this in 5 minutes. Okay. So this is a marathon. Hi. So I'm Jeffrey. I'm an independent theatre maker, researcher sometimes, and a drama educator. Thank you for this opportunity. This research, when I started this research, I know that there are lots of festivals happening in a very young country of Singapore, which is, we just celebrated our 56th birthday. We made a list, and we had about 68 festivals that we wrote to, but only 33 festivals responded. Actually, there were a little bit more, but because, the information were not complete. So I think I was a little strict to say, okay, only if they filled 80% of the input that we included these festivals. Can you go to the next slide, please? The next slide, go to the next slide. The next slide gives you the logos of some of the festivals that we have here. As you can see, it's a whole spectrum. You can look at, in the report, you can read in more detail, but just a quick image of the variety of festivals. We have the Large Scales Festival. So the largest yellow circle you see is the Singapore International Festival of Arts. It's also one of the case studies, which I'll go into more detail later. So we have the large scale festivals. Then we have the National Arts Council's festival initiatives. So these are really focusing on particular art form that drive a certain segment of art form or for the audiences. So you can see, it's not here, but there's this thing on Silver Arts, which is a festival dedicated to seniors. And then, of course, right at the bottom, that last row that you see, are all the festivals organized by Esplanade Theatres by the Bay. And these are venue-based festivals. And of course, they are also on the National Gallery. They also run the Light Tonight Festival, which I think you saw in the video clip, and the Gallery's Children's Biennale. And also we have theatre companies and dance companies running their own festivals as well. So you can see M1 Youth Connection, and then there's also the M1 Singapore Fringe. One is by the Necessary Stage. The M1 Connection Dance Festival is by the THE, the Human Expression Dance Company. Please move to the next slide. So I wanted to focus on the age of festivals, because for a young country of 56 years old, a lot of our festivals, as you can see, more than 51.52% are more than 10 years old. So what this means for me is that, for a small country, a young country, we're not having a lot of space for young festivals to emerge. And that's quite worrying, because then you have aging festivals and no space for young festivals to grow and emerge. So what does this mean, right? So something for us to think about. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So the three case studies that I've included in my report are the Singapore International Festival of Arts, TheatreWorks Now, and the European Film Festival, which is co-organized with the Singapore Film Society. Why these three? Because I think they give you a good snapshot on the scale, the kind of funding and structure of how they run the festivals. Next slide, please. So the learnings from the festivals. Next slide, please. So I think the first learning is that festivals must stay relevant. relevant in these three senses: relevant to the audience, relevant to the artist, the arts group, and relevant to the organization. Because I think, especially in this time that we are in, a festival is really a space where we give everyone hope, we give everyone joy, resilience, and remind ourselves that, with a little imagination, we can still collaborate with people overseas. So in that picture that you see, it's a collaboration between 9 Years Theatre in Singapore and I forgot the name. Okay. Okay. It will come back to me in a while. Okay, let's move to the next slide. 5 minutes, right? Okay, festivals must give voice. Okay, let's go. Why must it give voice, and what do we mean? This is the TheatreWorks Now Festival. It's a festival of women. And I included this because TheatreWorks is one of the oldest professional English companies in Singapore. I'm sure many people here know and heard of Ong Ken Sen, who's very forward-thinking. And this particular project is actually helmed not by Ong Ken Sen, but by an associate, Nolina Mohammed. And what they did was they dedicated 3 years looking at a festival of women. And this year alone, there were 15 programs, including 4 live stream productions, along with digital exhibition. So it's still on. I think you can still look at it online. And there were many, many online conversations and workshops. And they also started this thing called T-Care, which is a creative action resilience enabling initiative, benefiting not just TheatreWorks, but also some of the beneficiaries who are involved in this area of work. So I think it's a first for Singapore to have an entire festival dedicated to women. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I think finally, festivals must collaborate. In this day and age, we can't function alone. You can't run a festival just by one person. You can't just do things locally. The irony of the pandemic is that it's opened up lots of possibilities. And, like this research, for example, I'd never thought of being involved in something like that. But, I had an email and then voila, I'm involved in this very meaningful research and got to know new friends and colleagues. And what I wanted to say about this last example, the Singapore Film Society is a volunteer-run organization. They've been around because they all love films. And from just a hobby society club, how I think they've managed to be around is they've collaborated with many different partners. And the European Film Festival is one of their longest partners. And for me, this is a demonstration of how collaboration opens many more doors. Right? Because if they were to try and get films from these various European countries, it'll take a long time and it'll be quite difficult. But with the association or with the society, they were able to tap onto networks and in a way also train their members to be curators. And so, this is an example of how at the community level that festivals can play a part in starting collaborations. And finally, before I end my presentation, I think the idea of residencies is very important. And just, in the last 2 years, when we're all in lockdown, suddenly all the big institutions are opening up residency possibilities. So the National Arts Council are collaborating with the public HDB, which is the Housing Development Board, in various venues to open up spaces for artists to create things. The museums are opening up residencies. The libraries are opening up residencies. So I think this is a good opportunity for us in Asia and the festivals with more context and finances to start thinking about creating residencies where young artists or independent producers can be involved in the making of future festivals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey Tan from Singapore. From delivering the presentations. Okay, so we have all the researchers do the presentations. And before we go to the responders to give the response to the presentations, I would like to remind our participants Once again, to all participants, if you have any question, just click the link we put in the chat box. You can give any question. You can type any question in slide.do. Yeah, we put the link in the chat box, and then you just click slide.do, and then you can ask any questions to the researchers or to the responders. Okay? Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, I would like to give this opportunity to our responders. The first one, Assistant Director and Head of the Culture and Information Division of the ASEAN Secretariat, Mr. Jonathan. Jonathan.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for giving me the privilege to be the first responder. Although I would have to say that I'm standing in the shadows of festival veterans like Joe Siddiq, who would have a lot of insights and wisdom to offer here about festivals. Good to see you, Mr. Siddiq. I have had the great opportunity to attend the Georgetown Festival that he brilliantly curated and crafted. And I have to say that it always left a lasting impression because of the dynamic and rich programming it offers. Likewise, with us today, I can see a good friend and partner, Ben, who is working with us at the ASEAN Secretariat on the ASEAN Connect initiative. So allow me to start by first thanking the organizer, Jogja Festival, ArtJog, and British Council for having me from the ASEAN Secretariat to join you today at this event. I would like to congratulate and applaud your research undertaking to map the festival landscape in Southeast Asia. Indeed, I think this is a meaningful endeavor that further amplifies appreciation and awareness of the cultural vibrancy and diversity of the region. I would say that festivals are a linchpin of culture, which can serve as a driving force towards a more inclusive world by not only creating cultural immersion and experiences for all, but also opens up job opportunities, including for the most vulnerable, especially as part of the creative economy. Certainly, it contributes to greater mental and social well-being as well. At the same time, festivals provide an avenue to build greater gender equality and active engagement of youth, given that many youth are also employed in this sector. Through festivals, it also serves to bridge differences, build mutual understanding and tolerance, not least to say what Tom Fleming has earlier mentioned. Festivals also encourage creativity and builds identity. So at ASEAN, we recognize the important role that festivals can play in celebrating the cultural diversity in our region. Indeed, over the past 54 years, ASEAN, especially through the ASEAN Committee of Culture and Information, or COCI for short, has organized many festivals from contemporary dance to flute and music. ASEAN has also collaborated with many other dialogue partners, for example, to organize the ASEAN Japan Music Festival, ASEAN India Film Festival, ASEAN ROK Flute Festival, and the ASEAN +3 Mask Festival, among others. Indeed, at the ASEAN Culture and Arts Dialogue that we held a few years ago, festivals are identified as an important facet that we need to continue to promote and develop. Now, if I may just, in the interest of time, move very briefly to take this opportunity to respond specifically to the research report by highlighting 4 observations and share our perspectives from the ASEAN Secretariat. Firstly, the mapping exercise, I think it offers insightful and valuable analysis of the festival landscape in the region, distilled from the wisdom of festival practitioners. It also makes concrete recommendations and identify the trends and the gaps, of course, the opportunities and the challenges in the festival landscape as well. But I do hope that in the future, if this mapping exercise is to continue, that it can be undertaken and expanded to cover the remaining ASEAN countries, because I think there's also a lot to offer in the other ASEAN countries that have not been covered in this mapping exercise. Secondly, I think the report has also brought out many important learning points, one of which is the development of the typology of festivals in Southeast Asia. to identify festivals which are most relevant to the creative economy, so as to differentiate between those which are tourism focused and those which have a clear role in talent development and creative production. I think it is critical in the next step that it may be useful to look at the ecosystem that needs to be adopted and sustained from both policy and traditional perspectives. In this regard, I would think that this research study may serve as the basis to build on further dialogue, especially between the policymakers and practitioners at the regional level. Thirdly, festivals can serve as a safe space for creative expressions, a point that was aptly highlighted in the report and by most of the presenters here as well. I would echo that from the ASEAN perspective, festivals serve as an important part of preventive and upstream interventions, as articulated by the ASEAN Culture of Prevention Declaration, which was adopted by the ASEAN leaders at the 31st ASEAN Summit in 2017. Primarily, the declaration is really about seeking to help build a greater understanding and tolerance and regional solidarity in a world of cultural pessimism. And I think that certainly festivals plays a very important role as an enabler in this regard. The last point I would like to make here, which I would like to refer to the report itself, and if I may just quote very briefly from the report, that festivals are forced to evolve into a hybrid format where new innovations needed on every element of the festival's organization, from programming to showcasing platforms, from business models to building online audiences in the midst of the uncertainty due to the pandemic, unquote. I think I couldn't agree more with that with the greater pivot toward digital adoption, especially since the onset of the pandemic, it may be useful for future mapping exercise for us to also consider the digital footprint of virtual festivals, which while it may not be the mainstay of the festival landscape, virtual festivals may still provide a minor but meaningful contribution to the overall festival landscape going forward. Last year, as you know, 40 million more ASEAN citizens actually went online for the first time, adding to the 400 million internet users already online, which makes up about 70% of the population in ASEAN who is plugged online. So more importantly, I think that such virtual festivals may reach a wider audience, notwithstanding, of course, the challenges of digital divide. Therefore, in future mapping exercise, tracking such virtual festivals may enrich the data collection and to be sure allow for comparative analysis and research. So just to conclude here, I would like to once again say that the research outcomes in your studies, highlighting the trends, the gaps, opportunities, as well as challenges, will certainly better inform all relevant stakeholders and form an important and useful basis for us, especially as we seek to develop and promote the culture and creative economy in ASEAN. Before I end, I would also like to say that next year we will be convening the ASEAN Identity Symposium, and we think that certainly festivals will be an important contributor, and we more than welcome participants, external participants and festival organizers to join us at this symposium. And likewise, I think going forward, fast forward to another 2 more years from now, we are actually even exploring the idea of organizing an ASEAN Identity Fiesta, a festival of film screenings, panel discussions, handicrafts, food and culture and all that. And certainly I think that if this does happen, to really celebrate all the 10 ASEAN member states' cultural diversity, I would certainly enjoin you to participate either as a partner or as a visitor to this festival. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for the response, Jonathan. Thank you very much. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 more responders to respond the presentation this afternoon. After Jonathan, then let me present our responder, Country Director Indonesia and Southeast Asia Cluster Lead, British Council, Interim Regional Director Arts, British Council, Manami Yuasa. Yes, Manami Yuasa, thank you very much for still being there. And now, please.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really great to be here. I'm Manami Yuasa. I'm Interim Regional Arts Director in East Asia at the British Council. I'm based in Tokyo, so I'm joining from Tokyo today, but I'm working with the colleagues and partners in 14 countries in East Asia. So we are very delighted to work with Jogja Festival Study Center and Tom Frame Creative Consultancy to co-commission the festival research in ASEAN countries. It's really great to hear the research findings just now, and that was really helpful insight. As the UK's International Organization for Cultural Relations and Educational Opportunities, we worked with many partners in ASEAN countries, and including all of you who are here, and also the peoples in the UK. And through our work, we build connections, understandings, and trust between people in UK and ASEAN and other countries through arts and culture, education, and English language. We, the British Council, sees the importance of festivals to the creative economy and its role in enabling inclusive, sustainable growth for the wider sector and society. And have worked with many festivals partners in the UK and around the world. So one of the reasons why we commissioned this research was that we didn't have much evidence on the festivals in Southeast Asia, its impact to the creative economy and the society. To develop the program that would support the development of festivals in Southeast Asia and also make it relevant to the countries and sector, we really wanted to understand the festival's needs and priorities much better. The research finding we just heard today told us that there are many commonalities from the countries being researched, and most of them face very similar issues and challenges, which are ranging from festival management and business sustainability to tracking local and global issues such as environment or gender and inclusion. In the UK, many festivals have also conducted the impact studies. I just wanted to quickly introduce one of the examples, which is from Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is known as the world leading festival city. Edinburgh hosts major festivals and welcomes global audiences and arts professionals throughout the year. In 2010, the festivals in Edinburgh worked together with national and local governments and partners and commissioned the very first comprehensive impact study to assess economic, social, cultural, media, and environmental impacts of the festivals in Edinburgh. Since then, they have continued collecting the data and published the studies, which helps them to advocate the role of festivals to the funders, government, and partners, but also helps them to shape the future ambitions. Just one example, in 2015, Edinburgh's festivals attracted combined audiences of more than 4.5 million. It is almost equal to the attendance of the FIFA World Cup, and second only to the Olympic Games, which we're hosting in Tokyo now. So that was also quite powerful numbers, but it is also very, very important for us to understand the tangible evidence on social and cultural impact of the festivals. By working with festival partners in the UK, we developed several global programs that build international networks and provide skills development opportunities for the festival operators and partners. One is the Festival for the Future program, which is a multi-year program that aims to internationalize Indian and UK festivals. Under the program, Festival Connections and the South Asia Festival Academy that strengthens skills and build capacity amongst festival managers and producers across a range of skill sets through the international exchange. We also partnered with Festival Edinburgh, Creative Scotland, and other partners and developed an international delegation program called the Momentum. Since 2011, the Momentum program has brought over 700 international delegations or delegates to Edinburgh. These visits has resulted in seasons of work being presented by arts organizations from countries including India and New Zealand, and open up opportunities for delegates to forge new connections with their counterparts in other parts of the world. We're very interested in discussing with all of you how we can offer these opportunities to the festivals in Indonesia and also ASEAN countries, and so that the festivals in ASEAN countries can join the networks and also exchange the knowledge and experiences to their global peers. The research findings which we heard today will help us to shape our plans and also future directions. And as I said, we're very interested in continuing dialogue with all of you. Before handing over to the next responders, I want to pose one question to the researchers and all of you. We heard common challenges and needs of the festival in ASEAN countries, but the operating context and business models are varied by country. What would be the first next step in supporting festival in ASEAN countries, building international networks, following up to these research findings? So I'm really looking forward to having these conversations with all of you later. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Manami Yuasa. I also note your questions to our presenters, to our researchers. But before we ask our presenters to respond to your questions, I would like to invite Chairman of Federation for ASEAN Culture Promotion, Mr. Joe Sidek, to give a response to the presentations.
Thank you, Puan Santi. Assalamualaikum. Well, I'm really excited, and I must start by congratulating Jogja Festival to lead the way, to actually have such a diverse 15 festivals that cater. I think Jeffrey mentioned the relevance and local. And I want to start by saying that festivals can help make spaces, which is countries, cities, buildings, into a place that people can identify and feel ownership for. So it's important to have a place-making narrative when you build festivals. And then I think almost all five of you mentioned collaboration, right? And I have always believed that it's not about you or me, but the power of we and us. So leading the way with your 15 festivals in Yogyakarta, maybe you can move forward with an ASEAN network of festivals. And I'm throwing that challenge to Felencia and the people from Jogja Festivals. Really, I mean, I tabit you all, and I look up to what you all have done. And I think Shanghai, I think 2 years ago, started the Silk Road Festival Network. I think Edinburgh Fringe started the World Fringe Festival Network. So maybe Yogyakarta can lead the way with the festival network of the 6 ASEAN countries first, and then build maybe a maritime, with the exception of Laos, which hasn't got a coast, everything else has got a sea fronting. So maybe we do the maritime version of ASEAN, and then we join up with China with their Silk Road thing. Oh, wow. And then I think Tom mentioned about local, the importance of local, especially in these last 2 years. No one's been able to have international collaboration. We actually have to look at who we are and what we are. And I think the idea of local being global, it's a very important thing. It doesn't mean that you're local and you cannot be a global brand. And inclusiveness is also very important. And I think Tom and a few of you mentioned about space, a safe space. Now, the only issue and problem about funding, which is what all festivals need, is when you are shackled to a government or a body that dictates what your content material is. So then you lose the freedom of being able to give the arts a platform to be free and be able to say what they want to say. Strong storytelling and narrative is very important, so that the locals take an ownership of the festival, that they feel as if they belong. And I think Yogyakarta, you all have done a really good job, because I see from custom cars to Boneka, everybody has a festival that they would want or like. So I think that's a good formula. I think someone mentioned Edinburgh. Adelaide this year, if you look at the figures in Adelaide in March, the Met March, they broke records. So there is hope that after this pandemic, inshallah, we will be able to come. They had, I think, 90,000 sales of tickets, because almost everybody wants figures and numbers, which is a sad thing, because if you take money from a government, you need to give the numbers. I'll share with you, in my last year of Georgetown Festival, the state gave us $1 million US, and we gave back ROI of PR media value of 25 million. So they need figures like that, but it's a sad case when it's only about figures. But talking about figures, I think Mr. Tan from ASEAN mentioned, look, we are strong. We have over 100 million people in ASEAN. If we all band together, we will have the numbers. We just need to find the formula of how we work together and use these numbers to be of advantage to us. Diversity spaces, ASEAN narrative, contemporary tradition is important. What I liked about generally having the research report from all the festivals, we are very similar in ASEAN, and we can learn from Europe, where they failed. It's very hard to connect, and because if you connect through government, each government will give a government's narrative of arts and culture, right? So I think the government's role, or ASEAN's role, or institutions' role, is to support and back the festivals, not control the festivals or dictate the festivals. And especially now, when everybody places an importance to tourism, and if you look at China, Taiwan, Korea, Singapore is a great example, how the government purely backs the festivals. I mean, like really, the orchestration of Singapore is something we all learn, how the government supports all the festivals, right? And I think it's much harder in other parts of ASEAN the government backs individual festivals, but not cross-board. The other thing I'd like to share or point out what everybody else is saying, it's time that we join forces, really look closely at, I like to actually look at Jogja Festival as a great example that if you can ban 15 festivals, why can't we ban more than 15? Like pick festivals from around the region, that we have a festival network like the Global Fringe Network, like the Silk Road network of festivals, right? Within ASEAN-centric, then only to grow Asia. And what is missing is normally when we look at Asian festivals or ASEAN festival, we've lost our own story or our own narrative. A lot of our festivals are Western-centric. We put a benchmark of Western psyche to what we are, but we have thousands of years of culture. Why do we put the Western benchmark to when we program our festivals? That's something that I've been researching, wanting to work on, an Asian festival that is ours, our benchmark, our narrative. And the other thing, like why I feel it's important, is to have an inclusive Asia. We have missed out on West Asia. We've missed out on Central Asia. We've missed out on South Asia. So I think if we can start with Southeast Asia, right, and then connect East Asia, West Asia, Central Asia, and South Asia, then the center of Asia is actually where we are. Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and everybody sailed through us, Between Malaysia and Indonesia, they all sailed past us. So we could become the gateway of East and West. Well, we forget North America and South America, but really even Magellan sailed through here. So Malaysia, Indonesia, we are really the crossroads of culture. So I'll stop there because I don't know how long we have, but thank you. Thank you for inviting me to join this. I've learned so much from today and I'm very excited.
Okay, thank you, Joe Sidik, for the very positive spirit. And that was what we need during this pandemic, yeah? Joe Sidik, thank you very much. As the chairman of Federation for ASEAN Cultural Promotion for the response. And then we go to, last but not least, our responder, Project Director ASEAN Foundation, Benjamin Hampe.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling a little bit extra because my colleague Jonathan is here, who is one of my major stakeholders, and he's probably shared all that needs to be shared from the ASEAN perspective. So I think perhaps what might be most useful for me to share is, my experience is probably very similar to your festival organizers that you've done some research into. So I developed a arts and cultural program for ASEAN, which is supported by the Republic of Korea. And it was launched at a very inopportune time of January 2020 last year. So we actually spent most of last year redesigning our program. So what was originally designed as a touring visual arts program of exhibitions and symposia across Southeast Asia and Korea actually kind of developed more into a funding, grant and support program for other organizations and projects in the region. So looking at our model might be may be interesting for the researchers to look into for perhaps what the future where the future lies for festival organizers. Of course, looking at the way that we operate, my stakeholders are of course ASEAN, the Republic of Korea, and the ASEAN Foundation. So everything we do is about regional integration and collaboration. So I noticed that this was a theme that popped up a few times in some of the presentations. So looking at the challenges and the benefits of regional integration is something that we could certainly share. And also our project was designed to bring the government, the arts community and the private sector together. This also poses challenges which we have direct experience with. I mean, being a cultural diplomacy program, we really we're really at the forefront of experiencing a lot of these challenges. So maybe just in a nutshell, I'll just share really what the crux was last year for us to really pivot and change. I actually read an article about a lost generation of artists across the globe. This really alarmed me. I noticed that residencies came up a few times as well. The first thing that we did was run an online residency last year as a response to the pandemic. It was the quickest thing that we could possibly do to get money into the community. And from there, we kind of course, we did an online conference, which was also something that that a lot of organizations were doing. And we drew out three themes from what was going on last year. And they were digital acceleration, social impact, and environmental sustainability. In fact, Joe was one of our participants, I think, in our environmental sustainability themed Zoom conference. So we will continue to research through practice. That's really what we're doing. Connect ASEAN now is about being on the ground, working with organizations, working out, at a face-to-face, mostly digitally, with our collaborators on what needs to be done. And at the end of it all, we will have created a framework for supporting the visual arts sector across Southeast Asia. And yeah, we would be very, very happy to share those findings and of course collaborate with the research that is being done by Srawung Festival and the British Council. So I'll wrap it up there. I actually brought a video today on Connect ASEAN, but I don't know, maybe it's not very appropriate. Maybe you can play it at the end, but I'll wrap up there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Benjamin, for the response to the presentations. And before we go to the participants who have been asking questions in slide 2, I would like to ask our presenter, Felencia Hutabarat, to once again wrap up the presentations from Indonesia, because actually she has another presentations from Indonesia country highlight. Felencia?
Yes, Shanti, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just one more thing. We kind of skipped Indonesia, the hosting country. So let us share our finding. I'm just going to do it quickly. While waiting, if you can share the presentation, that would be great. If not, then I can just tell you our findings. So we have 87 respondents. As you know, Indonesia, has a lot of islands. So it was Of course, with the technology, it's not quite challenging, but we are hoping actually later on, as this survey will be done annually, we will get more response. There are 4 main genres for the festivals in Indonesia. There are visual arts, performing arts, design and architecture, and literature. And we see that the festivals that are in Indonesia, they started as celebrations of traditions and cultural identity, which is similar with other countries in Southeast Asia. They showcase innovation in the art sector, opening opportunities and alternative market network. So instead of just like, for example, going to art fair, you can have exhibitions and also doing art market there, and establishing arts ecosystem and network organically, and has been happening. So 80% of the festival are citizens' initiative or self-organized. It was based on collegial approach, and more than 50% are admission free. I don't know how they do it because only get very small funding from the government, but yet 44 festivals said they are admission free. In terms of the festival programming, this is a very important part because there are at least 6 things that they do. Knowledge production in different art sector, cultural exchange, showcasing and collaborative works, a reflection of the social political situation, education, and public appreciation. So a lot of festivals actually go the arm length to visit and have education program, visit schools, visit university, to have more public engagement. The main focus of the festivals are cultural capacity skills, creative economic growth, environmental awareness. This is an increasing trend. Tolerance and inclusivity, and opening opportunities for minorities. And it is also interesting to see that more than 50% of the festival in Indonesia are part of national and international network, because they see the importance, like what Joe has just been presenting, and Ben as well mentioning. It is very important to have like a network among festivals in not just in your area, but also in the regions, because we cannot do it ourselves. In terms of inclusivity and diversity, again, there are increased number of women in top positions, and artists from marginalized gender group are more involved. So there is discourse in creating safe space for women and non-binary gender in the festivals. And some festivals feel that festival practitioners have more awareness in the issue of ethnic, race, and religious diversity, which is reflected not only in the program, but also in the committee, the audience, and the talents that are showcased in the festival. The last one is actually, there has been like an ongoing discussion between the festivals and the local government, and also with the private sector. There are several themes that always popped up in the response. They are cultural capacity building, again, creative economy, tourism development, and building local pride and local product. So pretty much the findings is almost similar in other countries, and I think maybe in relation to what Joe said, maybe because we are actually sharing a lot of similar things, you know, in terms of how the society shared a long history together, and also we shared the same history of colonization and post-colonialism. So then it all affects, and I think that also creates the same struggle in a way. But I would like to thank very much our responders today. It's an honor for us to have you here, and I would like also to mention our other researchers that are not here. We have Nana from Tom Fleming Creative Consultancy, and we have Alia Swastika from Indonesia, Dintan also involved in this research from Indonesia, and then with the help of Anjali and Safa, who are doing our data management, which is the hardest part for people working in the cultural sector. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Back to you, Santi.
Okay, thank you, Felencia. Felencia, we now go to the discussion. We have some questions from the participants in slide 2. But before we go to the participants, I think Manami Yuasa has a question to presenters, right? Mrs. Manami?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So my question can be answered after you answered question from the audiences.
Okay.
But what I wanted to ask us what's the next step to follow up these discussions, because it's such a really rich findings which we just seen.
Okay. After the question from participants, okay, we keep it. Now we go to the participants who have been questioning in slide 2. The question is, I'm wondering if there is any findings on the involvement and contribution to choir artists and artworks by choir artists in this research of festival landscape. Also, by means with cultural diversity and identity in ASEAN region, is that also include LGBT folks in it? I think this question will go to Professor Ritirong Jiwakanon from Thailand.
Well, can I really answer that? I'm not sure about that. Well, the festival, actually, when you're talking about the LGBT in the festival in Thailand, is a big thing as well. We have a big one. And, but it's not really involved with the creative economy, but it's part of the event that get young people involved in the festival a lot, and it's been running for over 10 years now, and it's keep going right now for that as well. Sometimes later is related to the tourism more than the economy. Yeah, they draw a lot of international audience in Thailand for that.
Okay, thank you for the response. And how about another participants here? If you have any questions, just raise your hand. If you want to ask directly to the responders, even for the researchers, just raise your hand. And then we will give the opportunity for you to open your microphone and camera, if you have one. No? Okay, and then we go to another questions from participants here. From Faisal, a musician from Yogyakarta, who has several songs. He asked if he want to appear in some festival in Southeast Asia, what is the procedure to apply? This question will be for Jeffrey and Nguyen and also Prof. Ritirong.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you moved to your car already?
Yes, sorry. So this is a trip. Yeah, sorry. So yes, I think the question is a very good question, because I think there are a lot of young artists trying to find platforms to showcase their work. And I think there's no harm in writing directly to the festivals. Just write to them, introduce yourself. And of course, I think in this kind of a platform where you hear about the festivals, and of course, if you can get to meet the festival organizers, it's good to just put a word out and, say hello. If it doesn't work the first round, you don't know. Sometimes it takes time for the festivals to say, yes, that's the right platform and the right time to showcase your work and your creation. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Thank you for your response to the questions. And how about Nguyen? If you want to respond, please.
Hi. From the Vietnam perspectives, as I mentioned that we have not had so many creative festivals in Vietnam right now, but we do have the very open and welcome festival that for the emerging artists and cultural practitioners in Vietnam to participate. In case the festival in Vietnam, which are from the public run, whenever the public one run, they always have their own program and their own network of artists. But for the independent one, right now, because we are at the initial step of the developing the creative festival in Vietnam. So the organizer and the manager of the festival are always welcome the new ideas and the participate of the new and emerging artists. And I think writing directly to us, writing directly to the manager of independent creative festival in Vietnam is always work. And of course, on the condition that you have to prove that you belong to that festival, and your work is deserved to be showcased to the wider society and audience. And in the other way that you can seek for the networking, the support from the networking or the established artists within the community. It always works. Thank you.
Thank you, Nguyen. Thank you for your response. And actually, we still have quite many questions from the participants. I think the answer from Nguyen and also Jeffrey also give a brief explanation about how, if we as an artist want to show our project in other countries. Thank you for the answer, Jeffrey and Nguyen. And now we go to another question from responders. We have a question. I will read it. Collaboration plays a huge part in festivals. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened. So, okay, can we just go down? Go down, no, go down, yeah, stop, okay. I will read the question. Collaboration plays a huge part in festivals. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened, so what do you think? What type of collaboration does the organizer envision? Maybe Mr. Josidik want to respond about type of collaboration?
Yeah, actually, in time, all this will pass. So it's a great time to reach out now, especially with all these Zoom meetings and Zoom festivals and Zoom workshops, that for you to be connected to people outside. But I want to touch a little bit about what the Nguyen said, and if you don't mind, Nguyen and Jeffrey said, for a musician or a dancer that wants to apply to a festival, don't lose hope. It's like a wedding, it's like a marriage. You got, like Nguyen said it, you've got to find your right partner. You've got to find out which festival suits you, right? And then don't lose hope, because I had an Australian company that applied 3 years, I said no, and the 4th year I said yes, and the 5th year I said yes, right? And it's always good for you to find out, how do you bring yourself there? That means resources, right? Find if your own country will sponsor your trip, how do you get there? Right, and then, sorry, I just want to touch also about the LGBT thing. Malaysia and Indonesia, we might be really sensitive about these things, but that's why it's important to have collaboration so that they can perform in other parts of Asia, like Philippines or like Thailand. So it's important for us to have this network, that where they cannot do it in Malaysia or in Indonesia, the network will allow us to present work that is not censored in Malaysia or Indonesia, but can perform in ASEAN countries. So that's why it's important to have this network. Thank you.
Okay, that's the answer. Yeah, very important to have a network. Thank you, Josidik, for the answer. And maybe this is the last question for this afternoon about the tips for holding a festival in the area by involving the entire community in order to improve the economy. So maybe this question will be related to our project director, ASEAN Foundation, Benjamin. Do you have any tips for holding a festival in order to improve the economy in the entire community?
Well, as I said, we're in the middle of it now, so we are researching through practice. So last year we did a series on creative futures for the arts sector in Southeast Asia. We're focusing on cultural diplomacy this year, so looking at ways different countries can collaborate to support the arts sector in Southeast Asia. And I guess next year it will depend on what our priorities are. But yeah, in terms of tips, well, we're all working it out as we go. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, look at Southeast Asia. Many countries are experiencing different levels of combating this virus. So no one experience is going to be the same. But at the end of the day, things will come to pass. And when they do, we need to be ready. So if we've done the research and we're ready to go when things get better, I think that would be my major tip. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your response and your tips to all festivals organizations in every country. So, ladies and gentlemen, we really have very limited time, but hopefully what we have discussed in this discussion and what we have presented in the presentation from the researcher can be very useful to all of us, can give a very positive insight for us to survive during this pandemic if we are now holding a festival in each country. So, ladies and gentlemen, now this is the end of our discussion. Oh, we still have one more question. Okay. Now, let me give another question from the participants. Let me choose. Oh, we still have time right now. Okay, this question. What are the latest COVID-19 response initiatives that festivals are applying to maintain the creative spirit that festivals showcase, especially that we are now engaging everyone virtually? So what are the latest COVID-19 response initiatives that festivals are applying to maintain the creative spirit that festivals showcase, especially that we are now engaging everyone virtually? So, anyone want to respond from the researcher?
I can respond to the question, but maybe later on I'd like Joe to add to it because Malaysia has done quite a significant work on this. From Indonesia, this is not actually part of our research, but from what we know, working in the creative economy sector, we know that the government has given severance package for just like a emergency package for the event organizers, where actually the Jogja event workers are also involved in, and there has been a lot of actually more initiative from the citizens. What we know now as the hashtag Warga Bantu Warga, which means citizens helping citizens, either artists helping fellow artists, or a group of like celebrity is doing like concerts and then to raise money and then to help also fellow artists and so on and so forth. So yes, we hope there will be more structured work conducted by either the government and the private sector to work together to help artists in needs, also people working in the cultural sector, because as it is actually already very clearly shown, not just in Indonesia or Southeast Asia, but like all over the world, the cultural sector or the creative sector is actually the hardest hit sector among the other sectors during the pandemic. But maybe Joe, please share what has been done in Malaysia.
Okay, Joe, please share.
Thank you, Felicia. No, I just want to touch base that look at how Japan did the Olympics. So we should be positive. They managed the Olympics and there have been festivals. Malaysia has been very lucky. The government has really reached out to plan and prepare. They've been giving out grants to almost cross-board all the 4 pillars that Cendana has, performing arts, visual arts, independent music and crafts. And people have been given grants to support them to survive, at the same time create new work. So in preparation for hopefully next year when things open. But you know, no government can give you a hard, fast rule that, oh yes, you can open. Look at Singapore, look at Japan, look at even Australia, that Australians open up and then they had to close back, Sydney and Melbourne. So I think we have to work with the government and really keep up with what is the latest happening in each country or globally, because no one can assure you that it is going to be okay next month. Nobody knows. So the safety is the most important, crucial thing. And we just have to survive this period, and in time, all this will pass, you know?
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, that was our last question for today. I thank you very much to all speakers, to all researchers and responders this afternoon. And I hope it will be very useful for us, give us a positive spirit, and give us wise insight so that we can survive and we can do our best and effort during this pandemic to be still creative to help the festival. So ladies and gentlemen, this research also very important for us in making important decisions regarding the festivals in Indonesia, in other countries, especially in Southeast Asia. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to thank to all speakers, to all researchers, to participants who have joined this event, start from the beginning until the end. We apologize for any inconvenience during this meeting, and I thank you very much for your participations. I'm Santi Zaidan as an MC and also moderator. Thank you, and see you at JFFE 2021.